Hey guys, it's Barbara from Your Nursing Educator here on Instagram. I am doing an IGTV today all on the topic of cosmetic nurse injectors, which I am one. I primarily work as a cardiology nurse in the hospital, but earlier this year started my own partnership business, opening up a cosmetic injection clinic where we offer cosmetic injectables such as Botox and dermal filler. So since starting that business, I've received quite a few questions just on the topic of nurse injectors in general, so I figured we will answer some of those questions today. But before I get into the questions, I wanted to make everyone aware that I am following the laws and regulations in Ontario, which is where I practice. So I have the College of Nurses of Ontario. They are basically the people that govern what nurses here in Ontario can and can't do. And these laws and regulations that I mentioned throughout the video can differ state to state or province to province. So definitely do your research before looking into getting into this field, just because what I say in this video may not apply to you simply because your laws may be different from my laws. Starting with question number 1, what qualifications or additional education do you need to have before getting into the field of cosmetic injections? So basically, this answer is going to be long, but long story short is that you don't need any additional training, education, certification, simply because there is no board that governs nurse injectors. As long as you're abiding by the laws put out by your province or state, you can go right into the field. So there's no additional course or tests that you need to take to become a nurse injector. There's no certified nurse injector board that governs anyone. So as long as you are following the laws and regulations put out by your state or province's governing body of nurses, you can go right into the field. So basically what I'm saying is that you can finish nursing school and apply to work as a cosmetic nurse injector. And I know girls who have done this. They've gone directly into the field of cosmetic injections and were either trained by someone at that facility or trained by the doctor that they're working with, or their company paid for them to go take some education courses. But you don't need anything technically. However, this isn't to say that I don't recommend taking any kind of training course, just because the training course really focuses in on the anatomy, the details of the product that you're using, how to manage complications, injection techniques, etc. So you can learn this stuff while working at either a doctor's office or a med spa. They can probably provide that training to you at no cost, or you can take a training course that you pay for yourself, and then you can go and apply to a job. But technically, you don't have to take any course. There's no one out there governing nurse injectors. As long as you're following the laws and guidelines of your governing nursing body, you're good. Second question is, how do you find an MD or an NP to sign off as your medical director? Or how do you find an MD or NP to just work with? And for me personally, I had to find someone to be my medical director. I didn't go and work for someone since I own half the business, right? So for us, what we did is basically use Google and LinkedIn to find either plastic surgeons or dermatologists in our nearby area. And we sent out an email to them asking if we could meet with them to discuss a potential working relationship. And once we received replies from these doctors and NPs, we met with them in person and basically pitched ourselves and our business to them. So when I say we pitched ourselves, we legitimately made a PowerPoint presentation, printed that off, and went through it with them during the meeting. So we explained who we were, our background, our training, what our goals for the business are, where we see the business going in a few years, all that stuff, just so that they could see whether this would be the right fit for them. And then we also included a section on what we expect from them, and then hopefully discussed what they expect from us. But that's basically what we did. We met up with these people, pitched ourselves, and then crossed our fingers. And luckily we ended up with a really awesome doctor. He is a plastic surgeon and he lives really close by. So we lucked out with that. Oh, and then to add to this point, you don't just want to go and find like a general practitioner, because technically any doctor can sign off on this prescription of cosmetic injectables, and then you're technically allowed to administer these cosmetic injectables as long as you have a valid prescription written by the doctor. But if you go to a GP who doesn't really work with the field of aesthetic injections, you are risking them not knowing what to do if there's any kind of emergency, such as a vascular occlusion. So I would definitely stick with someone who is familiar with the field and who does this kind of work all the time. Third question is, what training course did I take? So like I said earlier, you don't have to take any training course. You could just work at a med spa and have the girls and guys over there train you. But I highly recommend taking a training course just because of all the information they provide you, and then the hands-on training that you can do during the course is also very beneficial. So I went to APT injection training, and there was a lot of hands-on training over there. So we got to inject a lot of models, and honestly, I feel like that's how you learn best in this field, is doing the injections yourself. And so on top of the training I did with APT injection training, we did a little bit of training with our medical director, and then we did training with the pharmaceutical company that we're working with. So Mertz Aesthetics provided us with a lot of education and then hands-on training. So those were the three that I did. But you can also attend a lot of conferences. Europe has a lot of nurses and doctors that provide a lot of hands-on training. It's obviously very costly, but if you find that it's something that's gonna benefit you tremendously, then it's definitely worth it. Number 4 is, does the medical director need to own part of the business? And no, at least here in Ontario, the medical director doesn't have to own any part of the business. It's actually, with my business, it's a 50-50 split between me and my business partner. The medical director does, though, receive a certain percentage of everything that we make. So because he's doing the consults and writing out the prescription for our patients, he does get a percentage of what we make. The 5th question had to do with new grads and if new grads can go into the field. And like I mentioned earlier, new grads can go into the field basically right away. So they can finish nursing school. I know a few girls actually that did do this. They finished nursing school and then applied to work at either like a med spa, a beauty bar, a physician's office, and were trained from these people to administer cosmetic injectables. So it's definitely possible to just dive right into it after nursing school. Next question had to do with hours and pay. So how many hours do you get out of it? You can be doing this and working full-time hours. For me personally, because my business partner is still working full-time on the floor, I'm working part-time at the hospital. We don't work as many hours doing cosmetic injectables. And it's also because we're just starting off as a business. I think it'll take a little bit of time for us to pick up a lot of clients and be working significant amount of hours. However, if you go and work directly at a doctor's office or at a med spa, you can be working full-time hours for sure. And then again with the pay, because I am a business owner, I've put a lot of money into the business, so we haven't really made money back yet, just because everything is so expensive when you first start off. But if, again, you're just applying to work at a doctor's office or a med spa, the pay, I don't know if it's as much as it would be in the hospital, but I do think you can make an extra percentage if you bring in your own clients. So I think it ends up being similar to hospital pay, and you can end up working full-time hours. So I mean, it's very comparable to bedside nursing. The last thing I wanted to cover was how to get your foot in the door. And this, I don't know if I have the greatest answer to, just because I just started this as my own business. I'm not trying to work at a med spa or at a doctor's office, but a few tips I have is that attending a training session would be very beneficial, just because there are physicians, NPs, RNs, RPNs at these training sessions, and you can definitely connect with these people and either work with them, work for them. It's very helpful to go to conferences because, again, you're making connections there. Definitely use LinkedIn and look to see if there are any areas nearby that are hiring. I would also just go into these places and ask them in person if they're hiring. So if anyone has any other tips with trying to get your foot into the door, leave it in the comments below, because again, like I said, I didn't really have to go through that step just because I started my own business, so I'm not really trying to go work for someone. But anyway, those are the most asked questions when it comes to aesthetic nurse injectors. I hope you guys enjoyed this IGTV. Let me know down below if you have any other questions, and I will try to get back to you. Bye.